Okay, so today we're going to talk about parabolas. And before we get started, let me just talk about a few things for background information. This is a solid shape, a 3D shape. Whenever you slice a three-dimensional shape, it's going to create a two-dimensional shape. This two-dimensional shape right here, if you slice the cone, it makes a parabola. A parabola is a U shape, okay? And we're going to be learning about parabolas today. So let's look at this picture that's in your notes. We already know that if you split it right down the middle, this line is called the axis of symmetry. We know that this point down here is the vertex. What is new, I'll do what's new in red. This is the focus. It's a point inside of the parabola. And this is the directrix. It's a line outside of the parabola. The cool thing about parabolas is any point that you choose on the parabola, it will be the same distance to the focus and the directrix. The distance is the same to both of those two things, okay? If I pick it right here, it might not look like it, but this distance is the same as this distance, okay? All right, so let's talk about parabola. So it is, I'll say equal distance, equidistant. The focus and the directrix are equidistant for all the points on a parabola. Okay, so let's start learning more about parabolas. Okay, so these are the two types of parabolas you're going to see. You're going to see vertical ones. They're going to either open up or they're going to face down. And then you'll see horizontal ones. It'll either open to the right or it'll open to the left. It might look something like that, okay? Those are the two types of parabolas you're going to see. And for the two types of parabolas, you're going to have two different equations. So one thing that we have to remember is that the focus is always inside of the parabola and the directrix is always outside of the parabola. The focus is a point. So let's make that note to ourselves. And the directrix is a line. Let's make that note. The vertex is, we're going to call it P units away. And let me talk about what this P value is. It's P units away from the focus and the directrix. So let's label our parabola real quick. This right here, we said is the vertex. This point inside of the parabola is called the focus. The line outside of the parabola is called the directrix. Now, let me highlight what I'm talking about. The distance between the focus and the directrix, the distance is P. And it's going to be the same for the vertex and the directrix. It's going to be some value P. So let's say P is 4. That means they're 4 spaces apart. The vertex is in the middle. And we'll see some examples of this. So let's look at the very first example. Oh, first let's talk about the equation, sorry. Okay, so the equation, if it's facing up or down, if it's facing up, it'll be positive. If it's facing down, the equation will be negative. And this is the standard form equation. Y equals 1 over 4 times the p-value, x minus h squared plus k, where h and k is your vertex. H and k is the vertex. So this is when it is facing up or down. This is the vertical equation. Now, let's talk about if it's horizontal. It's either opening up left or right. For the horizontal one, it'll be x equals instead of a y equals. It'll still be 1 divided by 4 times the p-value. This time, y is on the inside with k. H is on the outside. So notice your vertex reverses. It opens right if it's positive. It opens left if it's negative, okay? So for example, guys, if I stick a negative in the very front, that means this graph is facing down. If I put a negative in the very front, that means it's facing the left. Okay? All right, so let's look at an example. All right, so this is example 1. I'm going to write down the equation format again. The equation is y equals 1 over 4p x minus h squared plus k. This is the equation that they gave me, though. So how can I figure out what my vertex is? What is my vertex? Okay, my vertex will always be in the format h and k. So my vertex is 1 and 4. My vertex is 1 and 4. H comes first, K comes second. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and plot my vertex. My vertex is at 1, 4, which is right there. Now, according to the equation they gave me, will I open up or down? Down. Yes, down, because there's a negative right here. So this is going to open down. So when I do my graph, I know that it's going to face down. It'll look something like that. Okay, from here, let's talk about the axis of symmetry. If I split it right down the middle, I cross which axis and where? Exit 1. Yes, exit 1. If you just put 1, that is not correct because I could also be here. I need to know which one you're talking about. So I'm at the x-axis at 1. Okay, my p-value. Let's look at my original equation. Notice p is right here. You multiply it by 4 to get your equation. So what do you think the p-value was? 3. So what do? Whenever you have this equation, if they just give you the equation, what should you do to this number? Yep, divide it by 4 to get your p-value. So 12 divided by 4, my p-value is 3. Okay, so my p-value tells me the distance that my focus and my directrix is from. So here's my vertex. My p-value is 3, so I'm going to go down 3 inside. This is my focus. I'm also going to go outside 3 and draw a line. This is my directrix. So my focus is at 1, 1. And my directrix, it crosses the y-axis at 7. Okay, so that's example 1. Example 2, I want you guys to try it, and then we're going to come back as a group. They give you 2 pieces of information. Let's try to build our equation and our graph. Ready, go. All right, guys, example 2, check if you're right. First, they gave me the vertex is at negative 3, 0. So negative 3, 0 is right here. They gave me the focus at negative 3, 2, which is here, negative 3, 2 right here. So guys, which way should I draw it? Up. Why do we know we need to draw it up and not down?
The focus is inside.
The focus has to be inside. Thank you. Okay, so that means we're going to open up. And what's my axis of symmetry?
X equals negative 3.
Yes, x equals negative 3. It's going to be the same as the vertex value for x. All right, now how far are these 2 points? 2. So my p-value is 2. That means my directrix also needs to be 2 spaces outside. This crosses the y-axis at negative 2. Okay, now let's go ahead and figure out the equation. This is the format. Y equals 1 over 4p x minus h squared plus k. Okay, so let's go ahead and replace our values. Everyone, please label this. This is h, this is k. Please label your vertex. Okay, so I'm going to erase this h value. I didn't erase that minus sign. That's a part of the formula. I only erased the h, and in its spot, I'm going to put in this h value, negative 3. So guys, what happens basically? Yes, it becomes a plus sign. So basically, it's always opposite. Whenever you put something inside the parentheses, it looks like the opposite. We started with a -3 from my vertex, and now it's a +3 inside of here. Okay, my K value. What's my K value? 0, so I don't really need this. And what's my P value? 2. We said it was 2. So I'll put in a 2 there. So when we simplify this, it'll be 1/8 x plus 3 squared. That's your equation.
Wait, a question.
Yes.
I thought if you
So moving on to horizontal examples, we already gave you the equation. This is the equation if it's opening to the right. And this is the equation if it's opening to the left. Now notice, guys, your vertex is still going to be the same. It's still HK because this is your X value, this is your Y value. They use HK so that we don't have so many X's and Y's in here. Okay, so it's still the same. Notice, guys, in my equation, however, H is now on the outside and K is on the inside. So, guys, whenever it's horizontal, the vertex is swapped. Also notice, you'll know it's horizontal based off of the equation if it's X equals. If you see X equals in your equation, that means it's either opening left or right, okay? Your axis of symmetry will be Y equals K this time. It won't be an X equals, it'll be a Y equals. Okay. Let's pause here and let's look at an example. This stuff is still the same. This is your focus and this is your directrix. And they're always P spaces away from the vertex. All right. Here's the first example. Is this going to open left or right? Left, because there's a negative right here. So this will open to the left. And I know it's opening left and not down because this is an X equals. So it's horizontal, left. Okay, my vertex, remember, this is swapped. This is K and this is H. So my vertex, my H value is 4, the K value is 1. It's not -1. Remember, the minus sign is part of the formula. If it was a -1, there would be a plus in here. Okay, let me change that back. Okay, let's go ahead and graph what we have so far. So my vertex is at 4, 1, that's right here. And I know it's facing the left. It's going to look something like this. It's going to face the left. My axis of symmetry is now the Y value 1. It's at Y equals 1. Okay. Now, before I can figure out the focus and the directrix, I need to figure out what the P value is. How do I get the P value? Yes, divide this denominator by 4. So that's just 1. So that's how I know where to draw my focus and the directrix. I'm going to go 1 space inside. This is my focus. I'm going to go 1 space outside, and this is my directrix. So the focus is at 3, 1. And my directrix crosses the x-axis at 5. Something that's not on your paper but is noteworthy is domain and range. So remember, domain is read from the left side of the graph to the right side of the graph. So my domain, we read it from left to right. So on the left side, I have arrows. It's going forever in this direction. That's towards -infinity. And then it stops right here at 4. So that's my domain. We read the range from the bottom of the graph to the top of the graph. So the bottom, it has an arrow. It's going down forever to these negative numbers right here. It's going to go -infinity. And the very top also has an arrow. It goes up forever. It's going to pass all these Y values up here. It's going to go up forever. So that's infinity. You can also write it as all real numbers. Okay. This is the original equation, 1/4p. It's going to the left, so I'll put a negative. Y minus k squared plus h. This is my original equation. This denominator is 4 times p. I don't see a p here, so I know my p value was 1. Because 4 times 1 would give me this 4. So in order to find the p value, when you're already given this number down here, just divide by 4 and it'll give you that p value. Okay? So like another example, let's say I was given the equation y equals, oh, we're doing x's now. X equals 1/4p. So this is the original format. Let's say I'm given this though. What's my p value? 7, because 28 divided by 4 is 7. So that means this was a 7 in here. Because 7 times 4 would give me that 28. So you just divide by 4. So my p value is 7. What's my vertex in this example? Yes, remember, this is h and this is k. H goes here, k goes here. So my h value is 4. My k value is 2. Okay? Now, what if I made this a plus sign right here? Then this would be a -2, yes. Okay? So that is the end of our examples. I'm going to let you guys work in groups, work in partners and pairs, and practice.